told you you could get a follow-up, yes.
What was the joke? Say, Kelly's rolling.
All right, we're going to go ahead and kick off our post-race press conference here at Bristol Motor Speedway for tonight's Bass Pro Shops America's Night Race. We've now been joined by our race-winning crew chief, Cliff Daniels, and Jeff Andrews, who is the team president and general manager at Hendric Motorsports. Thank you both for joining us, and congratulations on that dominating victory tonight. We're going to go ahead and open up questions from the media. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We're going to start over here with Matt Weaver.
Matt Weaver, Sports Not. Really, either one of you can answer this one, but we get to the track today around 1:30, and they say we're going to scrape the top and put the PJ1 down. And I guess in some ways it might kind of invalidate everything that happened the day before. How much of a challenge was that to figure out a game plan and get the car to be as good as it was?
Go ahead. I don't know that it was that different from yesterday to today, to be honest, because I think at the test back in, you can correct me, it may have been July or August, I think there was some PJ1 that, they sprayed on the track then. Typically, the PJ1 is a lot more residual than like the resin. So I think some of what we saw the last 2 or 3 days may have been, some hints of the residual PJ1, if that makes sense, on the bottom. So the reapplication of it tonight, before the race, yes, we knew that it was going to be different. Thought it was going to pick the pace up on the bottom, so we thought it was probably going to work the tires a little bit harder. And honestly, it just ended up being, enough grip on the bottom to kind of, let the car hook and keep going without abusing the tires a whole lot. I don't think there was really many tire issues throughout the whole day. Maybe one guy had a tire go down, but yeah, it's certainly a little bit of a guess, but nothing that different than kind of what we would expect for typical Bristol, before the resin, before, the tire that wore out in the spring and all that.
And then from a momentum standpoint, I mean, you guys had such a huge playoff point margin that you can't coast ever, but you guys had less to lose, I guess. Was it important to close out this round with such a dominating performance, given that this round started kind of frustratingly?
Yeah, I definitely think it was important, and the way we see it is when each round resets, you really have to make sure you're batting, with what everybody else is, or scoring close to par, however you want to say it. There was a lot of stage points that we missed out on the last 2 weeks, of course, in race wins. Just with some issues that we kind of created for ourselves. Obviously Atlanta was kind of a fluke thing, coming to the end of a stage where we could have gotten some decent stage points there. So we had it on our radar that, if we could perform and execute the way that we needed to, at least get a stage win or two here or there, and you never know if you're going to get a win, but it was important for us to try to finish the round really strong and handle what we could on our own to leave less to chance, the way it was going to come down to points and everything by the end of today.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. For Cliff, was your car set up for the tires from last fall or the tires from the spring, and what happened to the tires from the spring?
Yeah, good question. It was kind of a mix, and I will highlight our sim group and our simulator group, the Hendric Motorsports folks in conjunction with Chevrolet. We got to work a lot since last fall and since the spring on trying to do the best that we could to come up with a little bit more of just a complete package, a little bit more of a well-rounded package, the balance of the car, the wear of the tires. So the best way I could answer your question, Bob, would be that it was kind of a hybrid setup of what we thought could live in a high tire fall-off environment like the spring. And honestly, I think the simple answer for what happened from last fall to this spring to, again, today has a lot to do just with ambient temps and track temp. The hotter that tire gets, it starts to have a little bit of oil that comes out of the surface and tacks it up, and then that lays it down into the surface a lot better. Plus, we had 2-3 days worth of racing on the track here this weekend before we got on track. So I think all those factors kind of went into what we saw today. And if we're being honest, the race today played out very similar to what it did, last fall. Just the overall scope of the race and lack of cautions, a lot of green flag runs, and tire wear not really being that big of a thing.
Is there a middle ground that, everybody loved the spring in the sense of there's tire wear, and this was challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be very hard to recreate the spring again because of the element of surprise. I do think it's a real thing at the concrete tracks. A lot of folks may not remember. There was a practice at Dover a year or two ago where it was a really cool day, and the race tire at Dover that weekend really looked like what the Bristol tire looked like in the spring. It was really powdery, dusty, to the cords right away. And that race weekend in Dover, the sun came out on Sunday, and the track took rubber and kind of fixed everything. So I think a lot of that is what's at play here. Everyone is certainly going to have their opinion on what you want to see, but I just find it hard to think that we could sustain or recreate, the environment of what happened in the spring. From my seat, yes, we led a lot of laps today, but there was a lot of really good, hard racing today, a lot of side-by-side battles. You had multiple lanes working. I don't know. That makes for a really good race, in my opinion, from a racer standpoint. So I'm okay with the way it was today. Less chaos.
All right, our next question will go to Zach Sterlino over here, and then we'll get here to the middle. We've got a couple in the middle.
NASCAR.com, Cliff. The weeks have just produced uncharacteristic results for you guys. I know you touched on the circumstances a little bit there earlier. What does it do internally for this number 5 team to sort of reestablish this level of dominance? Obviously, I don't think anyone is underestimating what this team is capable of, but when you have what does a run like this do for this team?
Well, I think the last 5 weeks where you can say we struggled or had mishaps, the couple things that we look at, all of those weeks we've had a lot of really good performance sitting on the table. There's been a lot of things that have been there for us to take advantage of. And for one reason or another, things didn't work out, we make a mistake, whatever the case may be. So behind the scenes, we've had to work really hard to just get stronger. And I think in an environment like that and with the team that we have, culture matters. The guys on the team matter. Having everybody bought in, to the same direction of what our goals are, being very honest and open with each other on mistakes and challenges and areas that we need to improve. And with that, leadership matters. And I've got to be the one to help make sure to keep us positive and moving in the right direction. And we have such a great environment with the leadership from Mr. Hendric and Jeff Andrews and a lot of folks around us to let us know that they've believed in us. They know that the team can pull out of kind of the hole that we dug for ourselves. And I'm so proud of the team and thankful for the culture that we have at Hendric Motorsports to be able to be with a group of people that are so like-minded and so bought in to the collective goal.
All right, we've also been joined by our race winner, Kyle Larson. Before we take questions for Kyle, I do want to wrap with Jeff and Cliff. Are there any questions that were for Jeff? Okay, we'll take Trent's question. Huh? For Cliff. Okay, so you do not have a question for Jeff? You're good? Okay.
Man,
Jeff?
he missed Mr. Hendrick's plane to come here, and y'all didn't even get... Somebody give him one question, please. He missed the plane.
No, I got left.
You got left, okay.
All right.
Please give him a question, somebody.
It was eeny, meeny, miny, him.
All right.
What are your feelings right now about having to be here and sit on that plane?
Jeff Andrews, you have all 4 Hendrick cars locked into the next round of playoffs. Tell us about that.
Oh, Cliff, thanks for that question. It's really good.
All right, Jeff, we'll go ahead and let you go. Oh, you do have a... Okay, sorry. Jacob does have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll let Jacob go, then Trent will come back to you. Go ahead, Jacob.
Jacob Zillman, Race Face Digital. Jeff, you've seen a lot of memories over the years at Hendric Motorsports, a lot of good drivers and a lot of great cars. Where do you rate this performance that Kyle put on tonight?
No, it's right up there at the top. Certainly a dominating performance, from start to finish. And, it takes so much, to make a night like this happen, right? Everything, has to go right. Pit stops and, obviously didn't have a lot of cautions. And, but to have a car that has that kind of pace all night long. And Cliff talked about it earlier about, the work that's been done at Hendric Motorsports, at Chevrolet. It takes all those things behind the scenes to put race cars on the track like we did tonight. So I'm super proud of that effort. I was in victory lane and saw Jeff Gordon come up to Kyle and ask him if he was going to break every one of his records before he was done. So, yeah, just a great accomplishment by these two guys. Super proud and ready to get on to Kansas with our 4 cars.
All right. I believe that is our final question for Jeff and our only question for Jeff. So we'll go ahead and let you go. I hate that you missed that plane though. So hopefully there's another one that can get you home for that. And we will. Oh no!
Yeah.
Now you have to drive.
No, I'm good.
Oh gosh.
I'll get home. I promise you that.
We're not going to make him drive. No, he's going to be at the front of our plane.
Okay. Someone please give him a seat on a plane. Okay. Next we'll go to Trent. Go ahead, Trent.
Trenton Warsham with FrontStretch.com. Cliff, you and Kyle have worked together for a long time now, have a great relationship. When you have a dominating performance like this with a driver leading all these laps, how are you coaching him through that? You know, what is the mindset as a crew chief, you know, with such a dominating performance where you may, outside of maybe a few adjustments, there's really not much needed there?
One thing that I would say that's really critical to days like today for us, we've seen each other fail. And that is so important to why we succeed. So when I think about today, I don't think about what we did to succeed. I think about what we did to build ourselves to this point. You know, we've had the conversations of good and bad along the way. We've seen the ups and downs. We've learned, you know, really how to simplify and just stay focused on the mission. And you probably heard me a lot on the radio today. Hey, man, mission right now is this. And, of course, a lot of times I was trying to tell him to slow down and he was going faster. But that's important to have, and certainly thankful for the relationship that we have. But we've had to build it, and we've certainly been through a lot together, and hopefully have a lot more days to come.
All right. Any final questions for Cliff? Okay, we're gonna take one final question for Cliff from Matt, and then you'll be good to go, Cliff. Go ahead, Matt.
Weaver Sports Not, actually for both of you guys. So you look at the second round, the construction of it is very similar to this last round in that there's a super speedway, a road course which has been drastically changed into something, and then a more traditional racetrack. So with the narrower margins of error, is that kind of nerve-wracking as this first round was?
Go ahead.
Sure, I guess. I mean, I like that Kansas is first, you know, rather than, you know, being the last in the round. Like, you know, kind of like how this round, you know, ultra confident coming to Bristol, but it's the final, you know, race of the round where, you know, the next one, it's like, okay, if I can go to Kansas and just do a really good job and you know, get good stage points, get a good finish, you know, you have a little bit more comfort going to Talladega. Rather than, you know, Atlanta, like you finish dead last and it's like, like you're just kind of stressed the whole time. So I don't know. I mean, it's constructed similarly but different. But I don't know. It's just the Roval to me has been. I've had a lot of moments of stress there throughout my playoff career. Hopefully, you know, we're in a better position once we get there and you know, can have less stress because it's pretty stressful. It's more stressful than Talladega for sure.
Yeah, my answer would be we're a very process-oriented team, so the way we prepare for every race really is the same. Daytona 500 or, you know, Kansas in the spring, Kansas in the fall, any other race of the year. All we want to do is make our process better. So it's kind of hard to get lost in the, you know, the what ifs and all the things of Talladega and of course the Roval and Kansas, because I guess my point is we're going to approach all those races the same way, the same work ethic, the same process, the same. If we execute our day, we're going to be fine. And what are the steps to execute our day? So certainly a lot of variables. You know, all these races have had so many variables that you can get in trouble really quick, which I think is almost a good reality check because it makes you dig that much deeper into finding the ways to go execute. So that's, no matter what, that's going to be our focus.
All right, Cliff, we'll go ahead and let you go. Congratulations again. Thank you for spending some time with us. We'll now take questions for Kyle. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll work to get a mic to you. We'll start here with Ben, and then we'll make our way to Jacob and Stephen.
Kyle, Ben White with Fayetteville Observer, USA Today. Obviously, you had a great car tonight. I noticed that you were close to a lot of cars that you had to be really patient around those cars. Did that cross your mind? Were you worried about the cars maybe that you were trying to pass getting into you tonight? Because it seemed to me like you were very patient around those cars.
Yeah, I mean, I was patient. I mean, for up until the last stage, it was a lot of lapping the same guys in the way that, you know, kind of the runs would play out and all that. It was very similar every time. You know, I struggled mostly with Suarez, which he was racing really hard to advance. I'm not even sure if he did or not, but you know, he was racing really hard, which I understood, and then you know, a couple other guys were just fast enough. You know, I could work the bottom and just stay inside of them. But yeah, I just felt like I just needed to be patient down there. I felt like I was doing a better job saving my tires down there. Just had to, you know, not forget that they were out there and not, you know, kind of run into them and you know, spin or anything like that. So yeah, when you have a car that good, it helps, you know, to stay focused and patient, and we were able to do that.
Okay, our next question will go to Trent and then Jacob. Or, I'm sorry, Steven. Go ahead.
Steven Sum, frontchurch.com. Kyle, you had 462 laps today, which I believe is the most by any driver at this track since 1977. Was there ever a point where the car just didn't feel perfect? And where does this rank among the best cars you've driven in Cup?
So the only run where I got like a little bit, you know, where I had to think like, okay, is the track changing, or did I just overrun my right rear tire, or what was the second run of the race? And I once I got to the third run, I just came to the conclusion that in the second run I just ran too hard. I passed Suarez, and then he was able to get back kind of by me, and I pushed, you know, pretty hard for, I don't know, 15, 20 laps. And once I eventually got clear of him or a couple guys, then I was like out of the racetrack, and it was just slick and loose and just less grip. But thankfully, you know, Cliff and them, I don't think they made any adjustment after that. I just didn't really know what to kind of communicate to them what I was feeling about it. I just said, I was like, I don't know, I just have less grip now. And then the next run, you know, I was able to pass Daniel or quicker and get back to kind of just doing what I wanted to do and manage my tires, and my balance felt great again, and it felt great all night. So yeah, just kind of had to manage my stuff. So yeah, no, my car was really good. I've had lots of great race cars at Hendric Motorsports. You know, sometimes they've turned into wins. A lot of times, you know, they haven't. I look at, you know, kind of one that is more recent would probably be like Iowa this year. I felt like my car was extremely good there, and just unfortunately, you know, didn't close out that one. But yeah, I don't know. 2021, I had a lot of great cars. I don't know. I could, if I looked at the schedule, I could probably point out some great cars, but tonight was definitely one of them.
And then heading into this weekend, 6 of the last 7 races ended in overtime. How much, you know, especially with the laps ticking down, I think it was like 170 laps green to the end. With the laps ticking down, how much kind of was that thought of what if there's a caution kind of in the back of your mind?
It's always in the back of your mind for sure. But, you know, as I was looking out my windshield, and I can't see what's on the other side of the racetrack, but what was out in front of my windshield, everybody was kind of spread, you know, equally apart. So I was like, okay, well, as long as nobody, you know, it was a long, really, really long run. So I was like, as long as nobody has any tire failures, I don't think we're going to have a caution here. So yeah, and then, you know, Cliff and them, they're trying to slow me down to save my tires in case we do have a caution, because I could tell that our call was probably going to be to stay out. But I'm like, man, I'm trying to get to the white flag as quick as I can. You know, I don't want to slow down and you know, cost myself a second and then miss the start finish line by a second, you know, before a caution comes out or something. But thankfully everybody kept it clean, and you know, we were able to run that whole last run out, because yeah, I would have got pretty crazy at the end.
All right, we'll go to Jacob.
There we go. Jacob Seelman, Race Face Digital. Kyle, 2 for you. First, we all know you've done a lot of memorable things in a lot of different types of race cars. When you have a night like tonight where, you know, somebody comes up to you after the race. I think Jeff came to you in victory lane and goes, "Are you, like Jeff Andrews was saying, are you going to break all my records?" When you have a night like this, where you put your name in that conversation or ahead of that conversation of guys like Jeff and Jimmy, I mean, do nights like this surprise you, or is it just, it's another day in the life of Kyle Larson?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's not like when I came to Hendric, I didn't have any goals of beating any records of, any of the others. Jimmy or Jeff, those are the two guys that probably have most all of the records, I would assume. So it's not something that's like that I'm like reaching for, but when it happens, it's really cool. Like I was really happy and proud to surpass Jeff in laps led in the season in 2021, and then tonight, I'm assuming I passed either him or Jimmy, based off how much they dominated in the 2000s. So, no, it's really cool, but at the same time, I think like, whenever I'm done racing or done being a driver at Hendric Motorsports, and those records are still there, then it'll mean a lot to me. But for right now, it's like you're just trying to do a good job, and the records will take care of themselves, I guess. But I'm sure I'll be able to kind of think about it more when I'm down the road.
Give us a look inside the victory dynamic, or kind of the family dynamic, because obviously gotten to see a lot of Owens racing up and coming the last few years, and the moments like tonight that he's been able to celebrate with you. What do these moments mean to you? And I guess in contrast, what does it do for him as far as motivation, seeing your success and wanting to be more successful in his own right?
I don't know, Owen. What do you think?
Oh, he's hiding over there. I didn't even see him.
When I win, does it motivate you to win? No, it's cool. I obviously I love having my family here, and I feel like ever win when they're here. But and I guess only a quarter of them were here tonight. But no, I was I got the checker flag, and we were pitted. Our pit stall was on the backstretch. I was like, I'm gonna go drive down to the backstretch, and maybe my team's on the wall, and I can celebrate with them. And as I drove by, I saw Owen was on pit road celebrating. I was like, man, that's cool. I knew he went to the suite, or I thought you went to the suite during the race. So I thought I'd meet him in victory lane or something. By the time it took to get all the way down, but when I saw him there, I was like, oh, cool. I'm gonna stop right here and have him hop on and go slow, so I don't hopefully get in trouble. It's just cool building memories like that, and I'm hoping he will remember these moments for the rest of his life, and hopefully someday when he's winning races and has a family of his own, he'll get to find his own way to celebrate with his children.
All right, we're going to go upstairs to the press box.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Kyle, what's the dynamic like? You have all 4 Hendric cars now moving on to the round of 12. They're your teammates, but you're all after the same prize. You have basically the same equipment, some of the best in the business. So how does that dynamic work? You want to be teammates, but you also all want the big prize.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I think we all work really well together, and the teams throughout the week do as well. Probably even more closer than the drivers get to work with each other, just because the crew chiefs and engineers and team members, they're with each other every day. But no, I think we just try to help each other out, and we want Rick and Linda Hendric to have the best odds going into Phoenix to win a championship in the 40th season. So you don't do that by not working together. So no, that it doesn't change at all. If anything, I feel like we work closer together when it gets to this point in the season. So proud of that for sure. I think in the time that I've been there, it's been great. But it had sounded like before 2021, like they really had to build into that for a few seasons. So yeah, it's a great thing right now at Hendric Motorsports, and really cool to have 4 in the top 12 here, and all 4 are running really, really good too. So Alex has been performing outstanding. It's been really cool to see. William, he's always fast. You can never count him out. He could go on a stretch of winning, all 3 races of this round, and you wouldn't be surprised. And same goes with Chase. He's just sneaky good, and Alan, everybody works really hard. So yeah, and then you have our team that's really strong as well. So it's fun right now.
My follow-up question, obviously we won't see another racetrack like Bristol, but is this a victory that kind of sends a message? I mean, it was so dominating, so powerful, and you put the other teams, in the ground, so to speak, tonight. Is this maybe a message victory to those guys? Like, if they're going to win the title, they're going to have to come through you.
I don't really think a performance like tonight sent a message, because I would think that majority of the teams, we've dominated lots of races. We've led the most laps in a number of races. So I think teams already know that we're capable of doing it on any given weekend. But it's definitely nice to do it. But there's also so many other great teams out there. So I don't think a performance like tonight just puts us as the sure favorite. It's just hard. Every week changes in the playoffs. So just got to keep bringing fast race cars and keep executing like we did tonight, and hopefully, more good runs will come.
All right, we'll take one final question up front here from Bob.
Make it a good one, Bob. It's the final question of the night.
Bob Parkhurst, Fox Sports. When did you realize that you were going to be able to go 100 laps on tires instead of like 40 or 50 in the spring?
I would say probably by lap 10 in practice. Just you're visually scanning the racetrack, looking for marbles and stuff, and I didn't see any, so I was like, all right, I was happy for sure, because I know you guys probably think that the race in the spring was better, but as a driver, I would way rather run 100% all night long for 500 laps than run 50%. I don't think that's much of a race. So I grew up racing different stuff, where you do push the whole race. But I don't know. I think that version of Bristol is way more exciting.
All right, Kyle. Congratulations again. We appreciate you spending some time with us.
Thanks.